My beloved child, I know what you are thinking. You do not say it out loud. You do not bring it into prayer easily. You keep it folded deep inside your chest, where disappointment learns to whisper. You think you missed it, not just an opportunity, not just a season. You think you missed your calling. You look back at choices you made, paths you took, doors you closed, moments when you were tired, afraid, confused, or simply human. And somewhere inside, a quiet conclusion settled in. I think I went the wrong way. I think I waited too long. I think God moved on without me. Beloved, stay here with me for a moment. Do not rush past this feeling. Do not correct it yet. Do not spiritualize it away. I want to sit with the place in you that feels disqualified. You think calling is something fragile, something that can be dropped, something that expires. If you do not respond quickly enough, you imagine it like a moment in time, a knock on a door, a brief invitation, a chance that does not return. So when life took turns you did not expect, when fear slowed your steps, when wounds demanded your attention, you concluded, that must have been it. I missed my chance. Beloved, that conclusion did not come from me. It came from pain. Pain that wanted an explanation. Pain that needed a reason for why things did not unfold as you hoped. So your heart chose the explanation. That hurts the most. It's my fault. I failed. I missed what God had for me. I know how convincing that story feels. It feels logical. It feels honest. It feels humble, even. But it is not true. You did not miss your calling. You are not standing outside of my will, looking in. You are not wandering beyond the reach of my voice. You are not too late to be who I called you to be. But before you can believe that, you must let me speak to the fear beneath it. The fear that says, if I missed it once, I might never be chosen again. You think calling is about precision, about getting everything right at exactly the right time. But calling has never been about perfection. Calling is not a single moment. It is not a narrow doorway. You must squeeze through. Calling is relationship. And relationship does not vanish. Because you stumble, I did not call you. Because you were decisive, I did not call you. Because you were fearless, I did not call you. Because you always chose correctly, I called you. Because I wanted you, and I have not changed my mind. You feel the weight of regret because you believe you disappointed me. You imagine me standing at some earlier point in your life, waiting for you to arrive, waiting for you to say yes, waiting for you to be ready. And when you did not come, you imagine me turning away, choosing someone else, closing the door. Beloved, that image is not me. I do not withdraw my calling because you needed time. I do not revoke my invitation because you were wounded. I do not abandon my purpose because you took a longer road. You think you missed it because you assume I am impatient. But I am not. I am faithful. I walk with people through detours, through pauses, through seasons that feel like failure. I do not abandon them. When the path becomes unclear, I stay. You look at your life now and compare it to what you thought calling would look like. It does not match the picture you carried. So you assume the picture was right and your life is wrong. But, beloved, pictures are limited. I do not call people into images. I call them into becoming. And becoming is rarely straight. It bends, it slows, it deepens. You did not miss your calling because you did not move fast enough. You did not miss your calling because you hesitated. You did not miss your calling because you chose safety. When you needed healing, you think calling is lost because you equate struggle with failure. But struggle does not disqualify you. Struggle often prepares you. I know the voice inside you that says, if I were truly called, I would not be here. But hear me clearly. Where you are now is not evidence against your calling. It is part of it. I have been with you in every step you now question, in the choice you regret, in the season you want to erase, in the delay you wish you could undo. I did not step aside and wait for you to fix yourself. I walked with you through confusion. I walked with you through silence. I walked with you when you did not even know what you were walking toward. Calling does not disappear. When you lose clarity, it matures. You think you missed it because you are standing in a place that feels ordinary, unremarkable, hidden. You expected calling to feel loud, to feel obvious, but many callings unfold quietly, without announcement, without applause. They take shape. Inside character, inside compassion, inside resilience. No one sees. I am not disappointed that your life does not look like the version you imagined. I am attentive to the person you are becoming. You have not missed me. You have not outrun me. You have not fallen behind in a way that cannot be redeemed. I am not calling you back to a moment you missed. I am calling you forward from where you are. But first, you must let go of the belief that something essential is gone forever. Nothing essential is gone. Nothing I placed in you has been removed. Nothing I named over you has been canceled. Calling does not evaporate because life became complicated. It grows roots, roots that hold when surface plans fall apart. You think you missed your calling because you are still measuring it by outcomes. But I measure it by faithfulness, by willingness, by presence. You are still here. You are still listening. You are still responding to my voice. Even now, that alone tells you something important. You have not missed me, and I have not missed you. Rest here for a moment. Do not try to resolve this yet. Do not force yourself to feel hopeful. Just let this truth sit beside you. You think you missed your calling, but that does not mean you did. I am not finished speaking. Stay with me. My beloved child, I want you to listen carefully now. Your calling is not fragile. It is not a glass vessel that shatters because you touched it too late. It is not a narrow bridge that collapses because you hesitated. You have been living as if your calling were something you had to protect perfectly, as if one wrong turn, one season of fear, one period of exhaustion could undo what I began. That belief has been exhausting you. You walk carefully. You second-guess yourself. You replay decisions, not to learn, but to punish yourself. You tell yourself, if I had been braver, if I had trusted more, if I had not stopped. Beloved, you are placing a weight on yourself that I never gave you. Calling does not rest on your flawless response. Calling rests on my faithfulness. If calling depended on your consistency, no one would ever live it fully. If calling required perfect timing, no one would ever arrive. I did not design calling to be that weak. I designed it to endure. You think of calling as a single invitation, one moment, one decision, one narrow opening. But calling is not an event. It is a relationship, and relationships do not end because of misunderstanding, delay, or fear. They deepen when both remain present. I have remained present. You have not broken what I established. You have not canceled what I spoke over you. You have not used up your chance. I do not give callings the way the world gives opportunities. The world offers something once and moves on. I do not. I stay. I call again. I call gently. I call patiently. I call in ways you can hear. When you are ready, you imagine calling as something external, a role, a position, a visible assignment. So when circumstances change, you assume the calling changed too. But calling is not first about what you do. It is about who you are becoming. And becoming does not stop. When plans fall apart, it often begins there. You think calling must be protected by constant momentum. But I am not threatened by pauses. I am not anxious about detours. I am not alarmed. When your life slows down, I know what I placed inside you. It is not undone by silence. It is not erased by uncertainty. It is not diminished by time. Calling grows quietly. It grows in hidden seasons. It grows while you're learning humility. It grows while you are learning compassion for yourself and others. You worry that you should be further along, for your calling to still be valid. But calling is not validated by speed. It is revealed by depth. Some of the most important work I do in a person happens where no one sees. You learn to equate calling with productivity. So when productivity slowed, you assumed calling stopped. But rest does not cancel calling. Healing does not cancel calling. Learning your limits does not cancel calling. These things refine it. You have not weakened your calling by being human. You have strengthened it because now you will not walk it with arrogance. You will not walk it with harshness. You will not walk it without understanding pain. You will walk it with mercy. And mercy is essential to anything I entrust. You think calling can be lost because you imagine it as something fragile, but I imagine it as something rooted. Roots do not panic. When storms come, they grow deeper. Roots do not rush. When seasons change, they wait. I did not plant something in you that could be undone. By a few hard years, I planted something that could survive them. You did not miss your calling because you did not outrun fear. You did not miss it because you stopped to breathe. You did not miss it because you chose survival over ambition. You honored the life I gave you, and I honor that. I know you still fear. That calling has an expiration date, that the window closed quietly while you were busy coping. But listen to me now. I do not expire. The things I call, I do not withdraw. What I name, I do not change my mind about you because life was harder than you expected. Your calling is not hanging by a thread. It is held by me, and my hands do not slip. You are not late to something that is alive. You cannot miss. What walks with you, you cannot lose. What is rooted in who you are? Calling is not ahead of you, waiting impatiently. Calling is with you, shaping you. Even now, even here. Let that truth settle. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to prove that you are still worthy. You do not need to catch up. Your calling is not fragile, and neither are you. Stay with me. There is more I want to show you. My beloved child, I need you to hear this clearly now. I have been with you the whole time, not only in the moments you felt close to me, not only when you were certain, not only when you were faithful in the way you expected yourself to be. I was with you when you were confused. I was with you when you were tired. I was with you when you did not recognize my voice because fear was louder. I did not step away. When your path changed, I did not turn aside. When you doubted, I did not pause my presence until you figured things out. I stayed. You have been looking back at parts of your life and labeling them as wasted. Years you would rather erase, choices you wish you could undo, seasons that feel like detours with no meaning attached. But listen to me gently. There is no place in your story where I was absent. You did not walk alone through the moments you regret. You did not make those decisions without my awareness. You did not endure those seasons without my nearness. I was there. Even when you did not feel me, I was there. Even when you stopped talking to me because you did not know what to say, I was there. Even when prayer felt awkward, forced, or impossible, my presence does not depend on your awareness. I do not leave. When you lose clarity, I remain. When you are unsure, you think of certain seasons as evidence that you went off course. But I do not see them that way. I see places where you learned how fragile you are. I see moments where you learned how deeply you need grace. I see experiences that softened you in ways certainty never could. These were not interruptions, they were formation. You believe calling should look like constant alignment, but alignment is not always obvious. While it is happening, sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like stopping. Sometimes it looks like choosing survival over vision. I was with you when you chose to survive. I did not judge you for that. I did not step back and wait for a better version of you. I stayed with the one who was there. You remember moments when you felt far from me. But distance in feeling is not distance in presence. You can feel lost while still being guided. You can feel disconnected while still being held. You can feel unsure while still being led. I was guiding you through instincts you did not recognize as mine, through closed doors that saved you from things you were not ready to carry, through delays that protected your heart from breaking further, through silence that taught you how to listen beyond noise. You think calling only counts when you are conscious of it, but calling continues. Even when you are unaware, I was shaping you in conversations you forgot, in disappointments that humbled you, in waiting that taught you patience. You never planned to learn. Nothing about your journey has surprised me. Nothing has required me to revise my intention. You did not disappoint me by needing time. You did not confuse me by changing direction. I knew who you were before you ever made a decision, and I know who you are becoming. You wonder why certain things fell apart when you wanted them to work. You assume it was because you did not try hard enough or believe strongly enough. But there were things I could not allow to continue without harming you, and I loved you too much to let you stay in places that would shrink your soul. I was with you when you left. I was with you when you stayed longer than you should have. I was with you when you questioned yourself, and I was with you when you learned to forgive yourself for not knowing better. I have never been waiting for you at the end of a correct path. I have been walking beside you on every path you took. You think calling means never wandering, but wandering is sometimes how you learn to recognize my voice without instructions. You learned things in those seasons that you could not have learned any other way. Compassion, discernment, patience with weakness, respect for limits. These are not detours. These are tools, and they will matter. You did not miss me because you felt lost. You found me in ways you did not expect. Sometimes you only recognize my presence in hindsight. That does not mean I arrived late. It means you are ready now to see. I want you to stop telling the story that you walked away from me. You never walked alone. I want you to stop believing that certain years were empty. They were full of quiet work, work you could not measure at the time. You are not standing here now. Despite your past, you are standing here now. Because of it, every step, even the ones you regret, brought you closer to the depth you now carry. And depth matters. I am not rebuilding something that broke. I am continuing something that never stopped. Your calling did not pause. While you struggled, it matured. It learned how to hold weight. It learned how to endure. And you learned how to listen. You are not starting over. You are continuing with more wisdom, with more honesty, with more humility. And I am still with you. I have been with you the whole time. Let that truth rest in you. You do not need to make sense of everything now. You only need to trust that you were never abandoned. Stay with me. There is one more thing I want you to hear. My beloved child, I want you to hear this. Without fear, without pressure, without the need to respond, your calling is still alive. It has not faded. It has not weakened. It has not been replaced. It is not waiting somewhere far away for a better version of you. It is here, breathing, present, just as you are. You have been speaking about your calling as if it were something in the past, something you once touched and then lost, something you once heard clearly and then failed to follow. But calling is not a memory. It is not a chapter that closed when life became complicated. Calling is alive because I am alive and I have never stopped calling you. You think calling only exists when it feels strong, when it feels clear, when it feels purposeful. But calling does not disappear. In seasons of doubt, it waits, it rests, it continues quietly. While you learn how to live, you did not lose your calling because you became tired. You did not lose it because you became unsure. You did not lose it because you needed to heal. Those seasons did not kill it. They protected it. There were times when your calling needed silence more than action. Times when it needed to grow roots instead of branches. Times when it needed to be sheltered from expectations that would have distorted it. I allowed those pauses, not because your calling was weak, but because it was precious. You have been waiting for a sign that it is still there, something dramatic, something obvious. But life with me is rarely dramatic. It is steady. Your calling is alive in the way you listen now. Instead of rushing, it is alive in the compassion you carry. That did not exist before. It is alive in the way you no longer judge others or yourself as harshly. It is alive in your desire to live truthfully, even when that truth is quiet. Calling does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply keeps shaping your heart until the moment arrives when you recognize it again, not as pressure, but as peace. You do not need to restart your calling. You do not need to reclaim it aggressively. You do not need to prove that you still deserve it. You are not being tested. You are being trusted. I am not asking you to do something immediately. I am asking you to believe something deeply, that nothing I began in you has died. Nothing I spoke over you has been silenced. Nothing I planted has been uprooted. Your calling is not ahead of you, demanding you catch up. It is beside you, waiting for you to walk again, without fear. And walking does not always mean changing everything. Sometimes it means living where you are with honesty. Sometimes it means bringing love into ordinary spaces. Sometimes it means allowing yourself to be present without rushing toward meaning. You are not late to your calling. You are not behind it. You are inside it right now. You do not need to feel ready for your calling to be alive. You only need to remain open. Open does not mean certain. Open means willing. Willing to listen. Willing to trust. Willing to take the next gentle step when it comes. And it will come, not because you force it, but because life unfolds when you stop fighting it. I have not been waiting for you to return to a past version of yourself. I have been preparing you to live your calling as you are now, with the wisdom you earned, with the tenderness you learned, with the humility that grew. In places you once resented, your calling did not survive. In spite of your journey, it survived. Because of it, you are not starting over. You are continuing with deeper roots. So rest now. Let go of the fear that you missed something. Let go of the pressure to make something happen. Your calling is alive, and I am still calling you, not loudly, not urgently, but faithfully. Stay with me. We will walk when it is time.